Auston Matthews comes up clutch for the Leafs, who gave up another multi-goal lead, although in a winning effort. We'll break that down and place a little cosine no sign on today's edition of Locked On Leafs.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome everybody to the Locked On Leafs podcast, your daily fix for all Leafs content. I'm David Morassutti from Sportsnet and a writer for the NHLPA. Joining me is my co-host, who's in the B chair today, Mike DiStefano from TSN 1050 Toronto Radio, also known as Alba's brother on TSN Overdrive and on TSN 1050's Leafs Lunge. Locked On Leafs is a daily Maple Leafs centric podcast, so be sure to subscribe for free wherever you get your podcast from. So first off, thank you for making us your first listen if you're listening to this for the first time. But also remember, you can catch us on YouTube, Locked On Leafs. Make sure you go and subscribe there. We're getting up there into subscriptions, so appreciate all that. So the Toronto Maple Leafs came away with a quite entertaining 6-4 victory over the Seattle Kraken, as Auston Matthews had another MVP night. Mike, just we're no longer surprised when we see Auston Matthews do these things anymore, are we?
The guy's on a different planet, man. Like he's right now has the crown for the best player in hockey. I mean, I've been banging the table for a while now about when did I bring that up? The fact that he could be the front runner for the Ted Lindsay had to have been at least 2 weeks ago. I think it was after the Minnesota game. It was after that Minnesota game. And now I wonder how many people we're going to start hearing talk about Auston Matthews as the best player in the game right now. I heard Darren Dreger today was talking about it, how he is the best player in the game right now. So this guy's just unbelievable. Like tonight, they give up a lead and then they actually are down 4-3 in the third period. And Auston Matthews says, "Hop on my back, fellas. Let's get you back up into this game and let's get the lead back here and try and win this bad boy." And it's exactly what they did. And then even got the icing on the cake with the empty netter for the hat trick. And thankfully he did, because I took the puck line tonight. I took the puck line, so -1.5. So I needed that 2-goal win. And Auston Matthews was able to get that for me when it came to that betting. But at the end of the day, like, the guy's just unbelievable. And like that line as a whole, like, I want to say it was his second goal that he scored. The play by Bunting just to kind of, kick that puck past the goal, past the defender, and then keep it alive and get it over to Matthews, who makes a nice little move to cut across the net and score on the backhand wide open cage. It was just such a great play. And it's this line as a whole that just keeps on chugging along. They just keep chugging along. And we talked about this yesterday. Sheldon Keefe was speaking post-game saying how, Bunting isn't just there along for the ride. He's a vital part of that moving train that is that top line right now. And that goal earlier tonight, that second goal that I just talked about, was just like another indicator that, yeah, Michael Bunting is also a really, really good player. And he fits on that line and deserves to be there and helps that line along the way. He's not just there for tap-ins. He's not just getting pucks going off his shin pads. He's not just getting phantom secondary assists. He's setting up plays, setting up goals. We saw that happen again tonight. And the finish on these guys, both Marner and Matthews ended up with a goal tonight as well.
And for any Leafs fans that...
And Tavares, for that matter. Actually.
Yeah, exactly. Tavares getting a beautiful goal. I think that kind of got a little overshadowed by the Matthews, but I mean, you can't overshadow a hat trick in many ways.
Absolutely. When it comes to that goal specifically, the Tavares goal, just so we can touch on it quickly here, like, that was just a great play all around. Like, there's
TJ Brody with that feed.
Just
Get
like
out of here, guy.
On a rope, just like 60 feet down the ice. Pierre Engvall knocks it down perfectly onto his stick and in stride gets it to John Tavares, who goes in on a breakaway and scores his first 5-on-5 goal in like 15 games. Like, he broke his goal scoring streak entirely on Saturday, but still hadn't scored at 5-on-5 since, what was the date? Like January 15th or something like that?
Yeah.
It was a long time ago, like back in January, and he finally scored tonight. And it was just a beautiful play. Like, TJ Brody, man, gosh, that guy knows how to stretch pass and get the puck out of his zone and into favorable positions for his offensive players. He really does. It's a knack that he's got.
Yeah, let's not forget TJ Brody was once a guy that was put up for Norris conversation because he could do things on both ends of the ice,
Yeah.
offensively and defensively.
Well,
So
I wonder too because we even saw tonight and the other night when he jumps up. He's been jumping up into the rush a little bit more now that he's on the left side, and I just wonder if he feels more confident being on his right side when it comes to jumping up in offense. I brought this up with Mike Johnson on Leafs Lunch the other day, and he believes that he plays better defensively on his offhand, strangely enough, but does jump up into the rush and feels comfortable more on the left side. And it may also be because he's got a guy like Justin Hall as his partner, not Morgan Riley. So he feels more comfortable, and feels that Justin Hall could protect him if things go awry when he's down below the hash marks. So I've appreciated and I've really liked what we've seen from TJ Brody since breaking up with Riley and going and being on that line with Justin Hall. The two of them tonight were just fantastic as a pairing. I think I saw if you look at the shot share numbers, there was Justin Hall and TJ Brody, the top defensive pairing, 68% shot share for Hall tonight and Brody. You look at the expected numbers, 77% expected goals when they're out there on the ice, scoring chances for 68%, and high danger chances 70-60% for both of those guys. So and these aren't guys who are deployed in offensively cushy spots. Like they get D zone starts, they get O zone starts, neutral zone starts, they play a full 200-foot game. And it's really, I'm really growing to like this pairing. I'll tell you that.
oh yeah, I mean, and we've always talked about what the Leafs could do to shake up the defense, and I don't think we've kind of tinkered of potentially breaking up TJ Brody and Justin Hall. That's only to help the other pairings, not because that they haven't been putting up the numbers. But one other thing I wanted to bring up tonight, while they played well together, the Leafs defense as a whole just didn't really have it when they were up 3-1. Like when they were up 3-1, this was kind of like, all right, let's see if they can hunker down a bit and defend the lead. And unfortunately, I mean, one of the goals was a bit of a off play with William Nylander's pass getting intercepted and the 2-on-1 there. But it was brought up a few times in the broadcast by Ray Ferraro that, Timothy Liljegren really had his struggles with defensive zone coverage, especially guys looked like they were targeting him quite a bit and going at him in the defensive zone. How concerned are you when you see Timothy Liljegren kind of getting spotlighted like that? Because the last thing you want to see as a defenseman is his name coming up in those types of ways.
Yeah, I mean, I think how I feel about that because I spent a good section of our last podcast talking about how I want him taken off the top line and a different Maple Leafs defenseman put up there. But like all in all, yeah, it wasn't a great night for them. He was on the ice for a couple of high danger chances and was on the ice for a goal against as well tonight. It wasn't a great night for Liljegren, but as a whole, I didn't feel like they let a lot of like high quality chances on Campbell for the most part. They didn't allow much second, third chance opportunities for the most part. They did a decent job boxing out. They made sure that they cleared traffic and that Campbell could see a lot of what was going on. There was a couple of pucks that were deflected, but for the most part, they did a pretty good job defending in their own end. I thought like there was a bit of a barrage there at one point. It seemed like they took the foot off the pedal and Seattle started to really tilt the ice in their favor, especially when they took the lead. And then Toronto took it right back. Auston Matthews went over the boards, tied the game, and then they got a power play goal right after that as well and ended up taking over the lead. And then that was just the game was over at that point. Toronto just kind of shut it down, coasted, and got the empty netter, got a 2-goal lead, and Bob's your uncle. The night was over.
Yeah, so there were so many things. This game was just so all over the place in terms of just the roller coaster of how the game unfolded. But we're going to take a quick break here because we're going to go through our 3 stars of the game, talk about a few guys who had a pretty notable night both on and off the ice. But before we do, Mike, I think we have a little show sponsor that we need to give a little shout out to.
We do. We're talking about our friends over at Built Bar. This is the time of year that you're pretty much giving up on all your New Year's resolutions, but not this year. You're going to stick to your resolution and eat right, and I'm going to do it thanks to Built Bar. Because it almost feels like it's not really a resolution because I actually enjoy eating these Built Bars. And Dave, have you tried these puffs?
I still haven't gotten my puffs yet.
Oh,
I'm waiting for them to come in.
they're in the mail. I'm telling you, they're in the mail. They came in the other day for myself. I ordered a bunch of them, and they are delicious. You're missing out. These are one of the best the best tasting Built Bars out there on the market. And Puffs are the first ever protein infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, marshmallowy. They're not just a protein bar. It's really a treat, and it's covered in 100% chocolate. Puffs are a fan favorite with some incredible flavors. They got yummy cinnamony churro, coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie. There's just so many different kinds to choose from. These bars are low calorie, high protein. They replace your candy bars with these. They're even better. A typical candy bar will have anywhere from 200 to 300 calories. A Built Bar, just 130 calories, but 17 grams of protein. Compare that to a candy bar, which usually has about dozens of net carbs and 30 grams of sugar. Yeah, you're definitely going to want a Built Bar. They've got so many great flavors. They got a new one this month, white chocolate cookies and cream. They're all delicious. New flavors coming out all the time. If you think a flavor might be good, they'll probably end up making it because cookies and cream was one that I thought about. And then I got the email, oh, we're coming out with cookies and cream. I was like, let's go. It's my favorite. And they're delicious, honestly. At Built Bar, they are all about the taste. They make it taste delicious first, and then figure out how to make it healthy. I don't know how they do it, but they pull it off every time. Go to built.com, use the promo code LOCKED15, and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com.
Welcome back to the Locked On Leaf podcast. Dave Morassutti here with my seven, who's gladly allowed me to go into the driver's seat for a podcast for a change. So appreciate Mike for giving the faith in me to do this. So
I do, and I'm gonna be on vacation next week, so you're gonna have the
I
entire
didn't
week.
want to throw you out.
So I thought, hey, Dave, let's give you a test drive, man. Let's get you a little taste of the action, and then next week I'm not here. It's all you anyway. So even if you crash and burn, which I don't think you're going to, you're gonna do a fantastic job. You're still going to be by yourself. I think you said you might try and get some other guests on the show throughout the week. Maybe we could reach out to Tony and see if we can get some guys to come in here and help you out. But I have faith in you, buddy. I got faith in you.
Well, I'm glad you do, because the last thing you want to do is throw a goalie in cold. So this is the relief goalie getting his chance before the disaster happens.
Hey, maybe you're the Peter Mrazek and you'll turn out to be the better of the two. Huh?
Ooh, interesting.
That's kind of a shot at me. That's a shot on me.
I was gonna say,
Jack Campbell. Did I call myself Jack Campbell? Oh,
you did. Oh man.
By the way, goaltending optional around the league tonight. Did you notice?
I was just about to bring that up. You were reading my mind.
So, like in the NHL tonight, so obviously in tonight's game with the Maple Leafs, 6-4 final, 10 total goals in this game. The Jets and Lightning, 7-4 final, 11 total goals. Devils Avalanche, 5-3, 8 total goals. The Coyotes dumped the Red Wings 9-2. Dude, Nick Ritchie had 2 goals tonight. He was on hat trick watch like in the second period. It was insane.
Nick Schmaltz had 4 goals, I believe, in that game. Like
he had 4 points coming off of the game where he had a 7-point night. So he's now got 11 points in his last 2 games. Insane. Where's the other one? Oh, the Blackhawks 8-3 over Anaheim, and then the Capitals with a big comeback win over Calgary 5-4. Goaltending optional. The only goalie who actually came out to play tonight, seemingly enough, looks like Carter Hart had a pretty good performance against Vegas, had a 47 save performance and a 2-1 win against Vegas. And then also Ottawa Senators goaltender Anton Forsberg allowed just 1 goal. Outside of those 2 guys, though, actually looks like UC Soros probably had a pretty good night as well. He did, only allowed 1 goal. Outside of those 3,
and this is a busy night in the NHL.
Not a good night for guys between the pipes, that's for sure.
Oh, definitely. I mean, and I was going to get to our guy between the pipes, Jack Campbell, because it looked like things were going pretty smooth for him. And then, the game gets tied. At that point, I wasn't really like on the jumping on Jack Campbell for how that game ended up into a tie. And the fourth goal goes in, and you're just like, that's like one of those goals that we've been talking about, like one where you need the save there to kind of stop the bleeding a little bit. He
Yeah.
didn't get it, but fortunately, Auston Matthews is just like, Jack, I got you. Don't worry. Mitch Marner, I got you, buddy. Don't worry. And we're not really talking about that too much, but I feel like this is one of those where I wasn't even as concerned about Jack, because when you see how he played the rest of the game, he was pretty solid. Like, there wasn't nervous moments late in that game where Seattle was trying to press and come back.
Yeah, I would agree with that. He wasn't great. He wasn't great, but he wasn't awful. There wasn't like trying to think now. I think the one goal I wrote it down here. The one that I didn't like too much. I think it was the 3-1 goal, or maybe the 3-2 goal. Sorry, that I didn't really like all that much.
Was it the one where he got beat by the shot on the?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who scored that goal.
That would have
Oh,
been,
it was the first goal, actually, the one that
yeah,
tied it.
the 1-1 goals.
Yeah, yeah, the 1-1 goal. I wasn't a big fan of that one, and then, the Schwartz one, for them to get the lead, it goes off his stick and it redirects, but so, a deflection or redirect, what are you gonna do there? But I thought that, the 2 other goals, I suppose, were just from defensive breakdowns at the end of the day. Like, Nylander coughs the puck up on the power play, and Riley makes a bad read, tries to play it, and then next thing you know, he's chasing the play and caught himself kind of in no man's land. He wasn't quick enough to catch up to Gore, but also didn't cut off the pass. So it was basically a 2-on-0, and it was a backdoor tap in. And that was the tying goal that really started to tilt the ice in favor of the Seattle Kraken. And then they scored again early in the third period, and then we know what happened after that. It was the Auston Matthews show. But as for Jack Campbell, it wasn't like a performance that makes me say, okay, maybe he's back, but it wasn't as bad as it's been.
Yeah, this is something to, again, and we're just looking for, as we said in the last podcast, we're looking for moments for him to build off of.
There was a save, actually. There was one save specifically that I noted after they had made it, because the problem is, they score early on the power play to make it 1-0, right? They got out to the lead, and then like a minute later, Campbell allows the game tying goal, and it's like, you never want to do that. You want to be able to keep momentum. So that happened again here when they took the lead back at 5-4 when the power play goal. Campbell made a stop on Schwartz with about 8 minutes left. Didn't allow a rebound. Made that stop. Looked calm. Easy save. And then from there, I was like, okay, I think that's like one of those stops where, where you say you need to get a save. I think that was the save.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if he doesn't make that stop and now it's a tie game, who knows what happens, right? Like, that's where the ice starts to shift again back to Seattle. But he makes that stop and then closes the door, essentially. Doesn't allow much else after that. Now, Seattle didn't generate many quality chances, I would say, on Campbell. You can look at the heat map. It's pretty light out in front of them. They didn't, do a very good job of getting to the net all too well, despite the ones that did score were from, below the hash marks for the most part. But I thought that overall, it was a so-so game. I think I give him like a C+. C+ effort out of Jack Campbell.
Well, speaking of grades, how about we hand out our 3 stars of the game?
Sounds good.
So I will let you go first, since usually you let me go first in these situations. So it's only fair that I return the favor. So who is your 3rd star of the game for the Leafs?
I'm giving my 3rd star of the game to the third line of the Maple Leafs. I'm really, really starting to fall in love with this trio here. David Kampf, Pierre Engvall, who's really starting to play some excellent hockey of late, and then Ilya Mikheyev. Like, those 3 guys right now are playing some of the best hockey that we've ever seen them play, and they're all doing it together, and they consistently end up with pucks in the offensive end despite not having any offensive zone starts. Like, you look at tonight, they didn't have a single faceoff where they started out in the offensive end. So they had 9 defensive zone faceoffs, right? 9 defensive zone faceoffs, and they outchanced their opponents when they were out there on the ice. Hold on, let me pull this back up here. I lost it for a second. 1 second. Okay. Yeah, when that line was out there on the ice together, they outchanced their opponents 6-2. They had so a 75% scoring chance right when they were out there and an 87 expected goal for percentage. This is supposed to be your shutdown line. It's supposed to be a third line that you toss out when you're in the defensive end to make sure that they don't allow much to happen. They do a good job of suffocating you, turning over penalties, and then the counterattack. And that's because of the speed of guys like Engvall and guys like Mikheyev. They've been so good on that counterattack. It really is working out well. And then David Kampf is just a sound, solid player who does a good job with a stick, active stick in the defensive end to jar pucks loose and to knock down pucks and force turnovers and send these guys up the other way. They had a 66% shot share tonight when out there on the ice. So I thought that they were real solid. Again, obviously, Pierre Engvall ended up with an assist tonight. They didn't score, but they had a couple of good opportunities. So wanted to give the third line a little shout out here as my third star tonight.
It's a pretty good line to give a shout out to. Mine is for Mr. Wanye Simmonds. He might not have scored. He came close though. He came pretty close.
Oh, did he ever?
I think if he raised that puck just even a little bit over the pad, I think that was a for sure goal for him. But man, how do you not love that ceremony for the 1,000th game of his career, which he had against Vancouver? I just loved like the tribute video, getting Willie O'Ree to say something because you know how much he looks up to Willie there, and giving his kids the mini sticks, the silver mini sticks. Like it's such a great touch for family is so important for him. This is part of the reason why he came back to Toronto and wants to stay in Toronto is because his family's here. So I thought just great job from the Leafs and an awesome player to give some recognition to in Wanye Simmonds.
Yeah, having the family there, his parents were there as well. Absolutely, I thought the Leafs did a pretty good job with that little ceremony that they had there. All right, second star I gave to Michael Bunting. I want to give the second star to, and Bunting is just this guy is honestly just I love him. I love him. He's just such an amazing player, man. Like every single day, he's really just wowing me with some of the effort and skill plays that he makes. We talked in the first segment about how he set up that goal for Auston Matthews, but like he's someone who just goes into the gritty areas and he's gets into it with players. Like he got into it with was Jamie Alexiak who he got into it with, took a little bit of a sucker punch, and then they both went and sat for a couple of minutes.
Was it him or was it Lazan? I think it was Lazan.
It was Lazan. Sorry, yeah, Jeremy Lazan. And it's just like the guy's always just getting under people's skin. And it's just, I love it, man. I really do. He's like a modern day Darcy Tucker. He provides offense. He's getting under guys' skin. And it's just something that I think the Leafs have been missing. Like Zach Hyman, the thing that like Zach Hyman did a lot of that stuff, but he wasn't like a pest, right? Like he was a hard worker, but he wasn't a pest. He wasn't somebody who people didn't like. He wasn't a greasy rat, as Michael Bunting has been nicknamed. And it's just something that really I have grown to appreciate a lot. And I thought he had a solid game. Like I really did. Him alongside with Matthews and Marner and whatnot. So decided to give Bunting the second star today. What about yourself?
I also had Bunting for pretty much the same reasons. I mean, that play on Matthews' second goal to send him in alone, like, I'm glad that the broadcast really showed how difficult that play was because it didn't look that difficult in real time, right? It was, and like it just shows how much Michael Bunting is appreciated. I don't know if you caught after the game. There was a little thing about I think David Alter tweeted it out. He asked Bunting, "What are the things like the little things he likes about Auston Matthews?" And he kind of jokes and saying, "Well, I liked it when Matthew scored and I went to celebrate with him. He just skated right past me. He tried to celebrate with him." I mean, you saw how they were kind of talking in Columbus, how they were kind of interacting on the bench. I think Auston Matthews they're BFFs for sure, man.
Best buds. Freddie who? Freddie who? Am I right?
Oh yeah, exactly. Don't worry, Austin. We'll get you someone you like even better than Freddie. And
Yeah.
they did that with Michael Bunting. First star, I think there's no doubt here in who the first star is. Auston Matthews
Ilya
recording.
Lyubushkin. Oh, awkward. No, just kidding.
Poor Ilya. He,
Hey, man, 7 hits tonight, buddy. 7 hits.
okay,
Yep.
I wanted to spotlight something with Ilya Lyubushkin. There was one point in the game where he lost his stick, and usually players are lost when they don't have their stick. He was hunting down the puck like a madman, willing to hit everything in sight without his stick. He wasn't trying to get a player to give him his stick back or try to give him a stick, because usually that's what you try to do if a defenseman doesn't have his stick.
Right.
And I think he got at least 3 of those 7 hits on that shift, because he was just a battering ram without that stick. So it just shows Lyubushkin ain't giving up even when things aren't going his way. So I thought that deserved a bit of a spotlight there.
Did seem like though, like they were on the ice for that one goal, and he didn't end up with much ice time at the end of the game. I didn't notice that he got like sat some shifts, but now that I think back on it, he only ended up with like 13 minutes of ice time tonight. I think they just kind of rolled through the lines and went with like the first couple of pairings for some back to backs, and he ended up taking a bit of a hit on his ice time tonight. But dude, 7 hits in 13 games. That's what he was brought in here to do. A little bit of feistiness. But the first star is not going to Ilya Lyubushkin.
No.
It is going to our man, a big tone, Auston Matthews. Hat trick performance and
43 goals.
43 goals.
36 in his last 37 games.
Wow.
That is not a lie, folks. So if any Leafs fan feels if they have any fans from opposing teams jumping on them for making the claim that Auston Matthews is the best player in the league, just say 36 goals in 37 games. Look, they might say, "Oh, when playoff time comes around, we have not
What has Connor McDavid done in the playoffs? Because that's the guy who always they
Nathan
respond
McKinnon
with.
was Nathan. Remember one time they were
He's had
trying to
some
say
playoff.
Nathan
He's had some playoff success. Like
but not. He hasn't won it. Hasn't done what the guys on the Lightning have done. Right. So this is the thing. Like Auston Matthews, he's had stretches where he's dominated before. This is just on another level.
Dude, it's every night, man. Like the consistency that we're seeing from not only Matthews, but that entire line is just incredible. Like they came into tonight between the three of them with 30 goals in the last 15 games. They potted another 4 goals between them tonight. Dude, 34 goals in the last 16 games between the three of those guys. It's unbelievable what they're doing. And just on a consistent basis, like this isn't a heater. This is what they are. And it's dominant. They are dominant. That's exactly what this top line is.
It was funny because we brought up the idea of what we call this line, and it's been I saw on the broadcast they were trying to figure out names.
Yeah, they stole our material.
Yeah, they did. They totally did. I did notice.
We also stole the material from my show Leafs Lunch a week ago, to be fair, but still, they stole my material.
We did have a comment on our YouTube channel, so there is. I don't know if you noticed that.
I did. I also got a couple of Instagram messages. Why don't you go through the one on our YouTube video, and I'll dig up the ones that I got on Instagram.
Yeah, I just want to pull up the person's name because they definitely deserve a shout out for this. So give me 1 second here. Here we go. So it was Josh McCauley. I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name at all. This is something I don't have to work on with my getting into the driver's seat of the show. But he called them the money line. I'm kind of digging the money line there. MMM money.
Yeah, I've heard that one. I've heard that one before. I have heard that one before. I don't. It's not my favorite. You know why? You know why it's not my favorite? Because Bunting doesn't make a lot of money.
Well, now here's the thing. I'm wondering if he's also playing on the fact that yes, Marner and Matthews are money off the ice, but when they're on the ice and you need them to score, they are money. Like, you know that phrase?
Okay, yeah.
I think there's a
Cash
bit of a
money.
play on. I mean, Josh can tell me otherwise. I feel like that's where he's leaning towards with that.
Okay. I like it a little more.
What
This
it
is
what
one that I got on Instagram. This one's from Dr. Inferno, which I don't know.
that's a pretty interesting name there.
Yeah, Dr. Inferno. So shout out. It looks like, is this like a band? Perhaps? Like, I don't, it's a
It
photo
would
of someone
explain a lot
singing.
more if it was.
It could be a band. Anyways, I said I couldn't find your Twitter to send my submission for naming the first line, but they play at Scotia Bank Arena. Why not call them the Money in the Bank line?
Hey Mike, Mike and I are good, are WWE fans. So I
So
like that.
funny because he also put in brackets, "We both love wrestling." In the message, I just skipped over that part, but that is, yes, that's where that inspiration came from
I
as
do
well.
like that.
On
Money
his
in the
end.
Bank, MIB. It's too bad it wasn't like MAB or actually MMB. I saw MMB. I couldn't remember what the acronym they were going with that. But
Bop, 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 bop. Uh,
there we go. Okay. Very
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. Here's
I'm loving
one
the
that,
creativity.
what's that?
I'm loving the creativity from fans right now on this.
Yeah, the other one I got here from Brian Netto on Instagram said, name for the Matthews line, the Lotto line. Brian Burke would love it. Do you understand that reference? I don't, to be quite honest with you. And the Lotto line's the line that's out in Vancouver. That's what they called
Yeah, I was
Pedersen,
gonna say, I
Beecher,
was
and
like,
Miller.
is this because of is this like a Vancouver reference, but like Lotto line? Which
Yeah,
one?
I don't get, because like you hit the lottery, hit the lottery with these guys. Like, is that why? Like the Lotto line made sense because it was 649, right? Like that, those were the numbers, so they called it the Lotto line, and it was that. That's a very smart line. But if this means like just because you hit the lottery with them, I don't know if think that's the best one. Did you see my what I had
I
said the other
I
day?
saw something about Costco. I couldn't remember the exact phrasing of that.
Yeah, so I'll give a shout out to the person who originally came up with that. I suppose I don't know if it's original, but like I said, I did this on Leafs Lunch and we asked for submissions, and somebody had brought up the Costco line, and I didn't know who it was, so I couldn't credit them properly. But then they reached out to me afterwards and were like, "Hey, can I get credit for this?" So yes, I will give you credit for this. I think it was B Morrison 4 or something like that on Twitter. He said the Costco line. So the Costco line, because buy two get one free.
Okay. I can see that. I can see because I know like Barton Matthews and Marner are the high price.
Right.
Then Bunting is the bargain. Or
Or even you can even like say, like, you can look at it as opposed to like a BOGO situation. You get three for the price of two, which is typically what happens at Costco, right? You're getting more for less. So three for the price of two at Costco.
Very interesting. I don't mind that. I mean, Costco. Look, I'm a big Costco guy, so I can get behind that for sure.
Price of gas these days, you gotta go to Costco for that. Gotta
Yeah,
do it.
it's not
Gotta
that
do
bad.
it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I mean it's some great. Hey, we love to have some more submissions. Maybe I'll add that to the comments of the on the
Yeah.
YouTube video.
This
Make
one
sure.
down here. Go ahead. Go. If you're on YouTube, go and vote. Go and write it in our comment section. If you got something else, hit us up on Instagram and hit us up on Twitter.
Yep.
Shout out.
All right, Mike. Well, I want to thank you again, and I like to thank everybody for sticking around as long as they did. So that'll do it today on the podcast. Make sure you go and support the show by subscribing wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel. We're trying to reach that 500 so we can give away some swag to our Leafs faithful. Make sure you go on Twitter, follow myself, D_Morassutti, and follow Mike at Mickey_Canuck, and follow the show at Locked On Leafs. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode where we are going to preview the game against the Coyotes and a little bit more. Hey, maybe we'll have some news to talk about.
The red hot Arizona Coyotes, that is.
No team that they can. Hey, maybe because they're playing well, the Leafs won't take them lightly. Although we can't really say that for sure because it's kind of gone both ways for the Leafs lately. But until then, keep it locked on here on Locked On Leafs.